I think Grand and Sherine haven't come through yet from backstage. I'll go back and see. Hello? Oh, I don't see.
Okay, are you gonna go back and tell them then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I think Sherine, you're unmuted, Grand, you're still muted, and Justine, you're muted. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great.
Aha, he's back there. Leo's arrived. I'll go back.
Okay. Yeah. We're slowly getting attendees coming in. Right now, we had 77 registered. So some people might have registered just to get the recording, so we'll not worry too much about that. I just can't see the participants. Hi, Leo.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so Justine, I think we're all here and the participants are here. I just can't see them, but I see that.
The participants are listed if you go into
Yeah, I see them listed there. I just don't see the pictures on the screen, but that's all right.
Right. Well, we still have a few more because we only have 8 so far that have come. We had 100, so we'll just wait for a second.
Yeah. I think some people may have registered to get the recording too, so there could be a number of people who are counting on that, especially maybe people from North America.
Leo, can you share your screen?
It doesn't look like I can. I haven't got that as an option. Oh, hang on, sorry. Apologies. I have. Let me just get the presentation up.
Let's give till 3 minutes and then we'll start. How's that sound?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Ah, great.
Is that showing the PowerPoint presentation?
Yep.
Right.
It is. You'll just have to put it into present mode, but when you're
that's fine then.
That's
right.
Great.
Okay, it does work.
Great.
It all works then. There we go.
Okay. Well, I think we're ready to go.
Okay. Leo, is it all right if we record this and post this?
Oh, yeah, fine. No problem.
Okay, because as I said, we had over 100 people who signed up for it. So we do want to make sure they get it. Oh, all right. And we certainly
so a few people are, another person has added. I think people are just getting in.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna actually allow one person that I know to talk to see if they can hear us and everything's going. Hi, Tatiana, do you hear us? It's Christine.
She has to unmute.
Okay. Tatiana, do you want to unmute and I'll just,
I can ask in the chat.
oh, yeah, it's in the chat. Oh, everybody can hear us. Great. Fabulous. Okay.
Shall I get us going?
Yep. Oh, wait, yeah. Do you want me you'll get started and
Then I'll just hand it over to you.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I see that someone has written it's 6:30 a.m. in Barbados. Well, Christine and I have gotten it up at 3:30 for this presentation, though it's now 4:30 a.m. our time. But that's all right. We've got some strong coffee and we have some great speakers that are going to keep us interested. I am going to start this, or we're going to start this with a land acknowledgement, which is quite traditional in Canada to do one before you start a presentation. So I'm going to pass that over to Christine before we get going.
Hi, yes, thank you very much, Justine. And so I am located in Edmonton, Alberta, and that at the University of Alberta, where we respectfully acknowledge that we're located, and I work on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional gathering place for diverse Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, Blackfoot, Métis, Nakota Sioux, Iroquois, Dene, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, and Anishinaabe, Inuit, and many others whose histories, languages, and cultures continue to influence our vibrant community. And we welcome that. Justine is located on and working at the University of Calgary on Treaty 7 territory and Métis districts number 5 and 6. Thanks very much.
Thank you. And so by way of introduction, we are just down the road from each other, which in Canada means about 350 kilometers apart, which is the next closest city. I am an assessment librarian. My full name is Justine Wheeler, and I'm an assessment librarian at the University of Calgary. Christine Brown is the head of faculty engagement for social sciences and humanities at the University of Alberta, and we are part of the Statistics and Evaluation Committee for IFLA. And we have 3 speakers with us today that are each going to speak for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to have lots of time for discussion and questions. So we have 3 speakers with very different experiences who will each share their experiences and perspectives on what they do and what they see in the library world. As you know, this series focuses on impact of libraries. And our kickoff session has Grand Mutando, Sherine Eid, excuse me, Sherine, and Leo Appleton. Grand Mutando will discuss the African Capacity Building Foundation's role in enhancing the community of practice and capacity of development in Africa. Sherine will demonstrate how ISO 16439 acts as a guide for assessing library impact. And Dr. Leo Appleton will discuss library assessment methodologies and practices. Instead of introducing each person as they come up to speak, I'm going to give you a brief introduction of all 3 at this time. Grand Mutando is an information management specialist, and his role is as an information management associate at the African Capacity Building Foundation, where he plays a pivotal role in managing and disseminating information within the Knowledge and Learning Unit of the program's Impact Department. Sherine is acting head of Quality Improvement Unit at the Library Sector at the Bibliotheca Alexandria in Egypt. She is a member of IFLA Statistics and Evaluation Standing Committee, as well as other committees. Sherine is a reviewer for international journals and conferences and has contributed to many publications. And I should mention that Grand is also a member of the Statistics and Evaluation Committee. And finally, Dr. Leo Appleton is a senior university teacher. Dr. Leo Appleton is the author of the book, Libraries and Key Performance Indicators, a Framework for Practitioners. After completing a degree in information and library management, he began a career in librarianship and management and leadership positions in several university libraries, as well as the further education colleges and NHS hospital trusts. Their full biographies are online if you want to hear more about them. They're all very, very interesting people, but we are going to start this off with Grand. So with that, I pass it over to Grand Mutando.
Okay, thank you very much, Justin, for the introduction. So for now, allow me to share my screen. Okay. Okay, so are you able to see my screen from your side? Okay, good morning, everyone. And as Justin has already highlighted, my name is Grandi Mutando, and I'm the Information Management Associate at the African Capacity Building Foundation, an organization that is headquarters in Zimbabwe. So ACBF is an institution that was established in 1991 to help African countries to help in policy formulation. At the time of establishment, ACBF had 11 member countries, and it has grown from those 11 countries to 40 members. And during its establishment, the other partners were the United Nations Development Program and the World Bank. So in this presentation that I'm going to give you today, I'm going to highlight the role that ACBF has been playing in terms of community of practice and capacity development here in Africa. So in my presentation, I'm going to highlight 5 issues, starting with an overview, just to give you an overview of what ACBF is. And secondly, I'll dwell on knowledge sharing and transfer, skills development, research and innovation, policy advocacy, and reform. And as I've said, that ACBF was established to help African countries in policy formulation. So you will see that most of these issues that I'm going to speak about will be more to do with research on evidence-based that will assist in policy formulation in Africa. So as I've already said, ACBF was established in 1981 to build human and institutional capacity for good governance in economic development. So to date, the foundation has empowered government, parliaments, civil society, private sector, and higher education institutions in more than 45 countries and 6 regional economic communities in Africa. So ACBF support capacity development through investment, technical support, knowledge generation, and sharing across Africa. So to do this, ACBF fosters a culture of collaboration, learning across Africa through a multifaceted approach that encompasses workshop, publications, network events, skills development programs. So at the moment, ACBF has developed a new strategic plan to cover those areas that I've mentioned. And we do have 4 priority areas that we are focusing. And the first one is aligned to climate change and energy for productive use, which is the first pillar of the strategy. And we do have the second one, which is agribusiness and food sovereignty. We have got the third focus area, which is trade as an engine of economic development. And the last one, which is economic and social governance, which is an area that ACBF has been working from the time it was established in 1991. And to help work on these focus areas, there are 3 unique components that ACBF will be using to carry out its activities. And the first one is related to the African Capacity Building Academy, which is a partnership that we are creating with training institutions, including academic accreditations institutions, and other training institutions that are available worldwide, but that aligned with our strategic pillars, the 4 strategic pillars that I've highlighted. And the second one is the institutional acceleration model for institutional strengthening. This is a component where ACBF has been dwelling much since establishment, where ACBF helped to establish new institutions or strengthen those that have already been established, maybe through funding, that is, if the funding is there, or sometimes through using the components that we use to strengthen institution. And then the third one is to do with capacity knowledge hub, where ACBF will create a repository of African and global knowledge on capacity development that we use for knowledge generation and sharing services. ACBF has been a leader in Africa in terms of knowledge generation and sharing, and we believe in this strategic plan for 2023 to 2027. We'll continue to use knowledge for policy formulation in Africa. So for this paper, it aims to showcase ACBF pivotal role in enhancing the community of practice and capacity development in Africa. So as I had said, the first component is to do with knowledge sharing and transfer. Here I'm going to share with you how ACBF is helping in terms of knowledge sharing and transfer and how we do it. So ACBF facilitates knowledge sharing and transfer through various initiatives such as regional workshops, knowledge forums, and publications. So on publications, we work with different institutions, governments, multilateral banks such as World Bank, Afrexim Bank, and the AFDB to develop technical papers and policy briefs to help with policy making at the continental level. So in most cases, we develop our technical papers or occasional papers. From there, then we come up with policy briefs that we believe will be able to help our partners, our member countries, the 40 that I've mentioned. And it is in this model that one of the notable communities of practice was established, the AFCOP. So the AFCOP was an idea from member countries, but it was ACBF and the African Development Bank which were in forefront of creating this platform for helping in policy making and creating knowledge that we were sharing with our members. In terms of knowledge sharing, we also work with think tanks across Africa. And ACBF is the secretariat for the African Think Tank Summit that we have yearly here in Africa. And so ACBF organized the African Think Tank Summit. So this is an annual event that is held to share ideas, experiences, devise implementable recommendation on what works and needs to change in Africa policymaking approach. And representatives of think tanks, delegates from the private sector, researchers, executive of civil society, organization development practitioners share ideas and experience on various interventions involved in implementing African policies. So the recent one, we held it in Zambia from 8 to 10 November under the leadership of the Republic of Zambia through the think tank network and the Ministry of Commerce and Trade of Zambia. So the Lusaka summit was the 9th of the Africa Think Tank Summits. And the theme was linking evidence, policies, and practice contribute to the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So this is the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is an agreement under the African Union, where Africa is trying to develop a free trade area to help to improve trade within the continent. So for this think tank summit, the idea was to share ideas and ways on how we can develop policies that can support to enhance this trade agreement. So ACBF also offers networking opportunities. So in these policy dialogues, such as the think tank summit that I've highlighted, we usually discuss emerging issues and policy priorities that faces Africa. So another network opportunities that we offer, an example was one that we held in Accra in Ghana in partnership with the Center for Regional Integration in Africa. And it was also in partners with other partners there in Ghana. And we convened this regional integration for Africa under the theme Breaking Business Barriers for African Continental Free Trade Acceleration. And the idea or the conference was designed to address challenges of limited private sector engagement in continental trade due to lack of awareness of the African Continental Free Trade Area. So beside the think tank summit that I've mentioned before, we also do a regional workshop where new issues or issues that will have been discussed in other forums are continued to be discussed, so that we are able to have evidence, so that when we plan or when we develop new policies, we have evidence-based, or is something also that is agreed from different stakeholders and partners. Knowledge learning, which is also still part of the knowledge sharing. So as I've said before, ACBF is a prominent global authority on capacity development within Africa. So it disseminates expertise through various channels, from knowledge products, services, to fostering knowledge networks, forums, and knowledge disseminated is curated under our ACBF e-library. So we do have an e-library that we deposit all the publications that we do generate, as I've said, the technical papers, the policy brief, the capacity reports. So this e-library is accessible for free, and you can search the e-library by subject, by any terms that you can be able to generate. Use even the Boolean logics is acceptable in terms of the searching. So this wealth of knowledge informs the refinement of capacity building interventions across the continent, contributed to their enhanced design and efficacy. So ACBF also have what we call our flagship report, which is an annual publication that dwells in various thematic issues surrounding capacity development. In most cases, we deal with the priority thematic areas within that period. So this publication, the African Capacity Report, provides essential indicators to guide decision-making on where to channel support for capacity development, and identify the necessary capacities to address prevailing challenges that would have been established, especially during the research and development of this publication. So in most cases, we, as I had said, we work with think tanks around the continent, and in most cases, we use these think tanks to help us in terms of data collection and analysis to produce this African capacity report. So ACBF is also, it also helps African countries, member countries, in terms of skills development. So ACBF invests in skill development programs to strengthen capacity of individuals and institutions across Africa. So one example is the provision of scholarship and fellowship for African professionals to pursue advanced degrees, specialized training, project management, financial analysis, leadership, and economics. So ACBF concept of training and education program presupposes a focus on teaching and learning intervention courses targeting individuals. So in most cases, through this scholarship, we, as ACBF, we partner with training institutions. For example, we did have different scholarship that were offered to universities. And one of the examples was the Economic Policy Management Program in Cote d'Ivoire and the Democratic Republic of Congo, which focus on training mid-level staff from ministries, department, agencies, private sector. And we also have had this in Zimbabwe through the program that was carried out through the Professional Development Training Program in economics. The private sector management training at African University offered this, and the Women's University of Africa was also part of the partners that was targeted for this initiative. So this initiative targeted senior managers, officials from public sector and academia. And as I have also talked in terms of research and innovation, ACBF do support research and innovation by providing grants, technical assistance, capacity building to research institutions and think tanks. So one example is the research consortium focus on addressing specific developments such as climate change, adaptation, health improvement, youth and youth in unemployment. So setting up basic principles and method for managing funds, organization management, support. So those are some of the issues that we dwell when on the innovation. So in terms of policy advocates and reform, so ACBF support good governance, institutional strengthening, sustainable development in Africa through policy advocacy and reform. It assists governments in designing and implementing capacity development strategies and policies. The ACBF conducts policy research and analysis to inform decision-making and advocate for policy reform, emphasizing on capacity building as a critical driver. Then maybe in conclusion, I think I'm running out of time. I'm seeing some alarms. Okay, so the African Capacity Building Foundation serves as a beacon of progress, catalyzing transformative change throughout Africa, and by promoting a holistic approach to capacity building, encompassing knowledge sharing, skills development, networking, research, innovation, policy advocacy. So as Africa navigates the complexity of development, ACBF remains steadfast in its commitment to nurturing a capable and resilient poised to address present challenges and embrace future opportunities with the confidence and competence. And as I have said before, ACBF is open to partnership, collaboration in terms of the issues that I have highlighted in this presentation. And we do this with training institutions. And you never know, your institution might be one of those that might be a future partner with ACBF. And please feel free to get in touch with me. I've beamed my email there, maybe for discussions in terms of areas that are of common. Thank you very much, Christine, for giving me this floor. This brings me to the end of my presentation.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks very much, Grant. And we'll take questions at the end. And I see my colleague Justine is just something, she's lost a connection. So I'll perhaps ask Leo if you would be the next, share your presentation and start your talk now, please.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
And can you hear me?
Yes.
Right. Okay, so hopefully you've seen that in presentation mode and you can hear me. So I shall begin my my brief presentation. So thank you very much for having me, and thanks to Grand for opening the panel speakers. As Justine said, I'm going to talk a little bit about she said assessment methodologies. I'm going to be slightly more focused than that. That's quite broad. But just by way of introduction, I know Justine introduced me before, but I work in the information school, so I'm involved in library and information education in the UK, and we're quite a well-known information school. But I had a career for over 20 years, I think 25 years, as an academic librarian. So a lot of my experience is grounded in university libraries and kind of being in leadership and management experiences of university libraries. Now, Justine mentioned this book that I wrote, and I have to say I had forgotten about, called Libraries and Key Performance Indicators, a framework for practitioners, which I think was published in 2016, 2017. And I actually wrote that because I was really, I felt we were lacking a guide as to how to use key performance indicators to demonstrate impact and value of library services. So this was my attempt really to just plug a gap in the literature a little bit. And I don't know whether it's been of any use, but it certainly was good for the soul in terms of getting it written, published, and down on paper. Some of the things I was puzzling about. So I've called this presentation "The Focus on Impact from Numbers to Narrative," because I think key performance indicators were very much part of the world I was living in a kind of metropolitan university environment. Kind of UK academia, in fact, Western world academia, I think, had become very neoliberal, very much governed from a new managerialism perspective. Therefore, being able to justify our impact and values through metrics was all important. Hence this, for me at the time, beginning of the 2000s and onwards, this almost insistence that we use metrics to demonstrate impacts, hence key performance indicators in libraries. But I'm not so bothered about key performance indicators anymore, I have to say, no longer being a practitioner, but I am really keen on libraries being able to demonstrate value and impact. So I want to move, I'm literally going to move from numbers to narrative as part of this presentation. But I'm going to start with numbers. I'm going to start with metrics and key performance indicators. And when we talk about key performance indicators, I'm just begging the question, what actually are we talking about? Are we talking about numbers and metrics that demonstrate how we're performing? They're performance indicators. Are we using numbers and metrics that tell us what we've done? They're results indicators. Are we talking about things that we want to achieve, therefore they're key performance outcomes? Are we talking about usage statistics? That's a fairly vogue topics, never gone away, usage statistics in libraries as far as I'm concerned and aware. Are we talking about targets that we set ourselves? Are we talking about service standards that we set ourselves? And at the end, does it really matter what the parlance is about? And as I said, I'm very much of the kind of thinking that we've been as a different sector, all sectors really have been, but certainly higher education have been forced down this neoliberal new managerial environment, and really encouraged to use metrics and data to demonstrate what we do. So when I started kind of looking into KPIs, and we all use KPI, we talk about KPIs, we don't talk about PIs or RIs, but actually KPIs, key performance indicators, are just one of a suite of different indicators that we can use. And results indicators are something that we don't often talk about. Quite often they're financial, but they can be non-financial. They can be around returns on investment or customer satisfaction, i.e. the results of your delivery of your service. Results indicators can be measures that you take on a periodic basis, monthly, quarterly, annually, but it doesn't necessarily tell you anything about areas that need fixing. It tells you what you've done. It's a summary of different results of different activities. So key results indicators show you where you've been critically successful. Performance indicators for me are the ones that we encourage that we use in our parlance, in our library quality assurance parlance. But performance indicators are metrics that tell you what you need to do, what you need to fix. Key performance indicators are those big numbers that tell you where you're going wrong and therefore what you really need to fix. So they may be kind of big figures around customer satisfaction if they dip below a particular level. I'm going to give you some examples though. So in terms of results indicators, common characteristics of measures such as results indicators are that they're achieved through the results of many different actions, presenting a clear picture to the direction that the organisation is going. Key results indicators typically cover a longer period of time than key performance indicators and need to be reviewed on a more regular basis, usually monthly or quarterly, rather than on a weekly basis, which I'm saying KPIs are probably things you want to do on a more regular basis, like on a weekly basis. Key results indicators within library and information settings might include things like customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, number of books loaned, number of electronic downloads, return on investment in library services. Key results indicators provide information for those people working at a board or a governing body level, executive level, rather than those involved in the day-to-day management of the service. So it's the people, I suppose, at the top of the organisation, potentially beyond the library organisation, being able to see kind of demonstrable results from your key results indicators. So in library parlance, we may be talking about, or higher education in general, I suppose this is, things like retention figures, attainment figures, strategic targets for kind of numbers of downloads and usage, percentage. So I've put there percentage of institutional repository items cited in further research, percentage of students satisfied with skills training, etc. And there is quite an overlap here with what I'm talking about as results and performance, and we'll talk about performance indicators next. So whilst key results indicators provide information for those working at that executive level rather than day-to-day management, it's the key performance indicators, or potentially just performance indicators, that need to be monitored more frequently to ensure that the organisation is set to achieve the results that it desires. Now, libraries are usually a constituent part of a larger organisation, a local authority, a council, a university, a college, a hospital. So it means that those responsible for the strategic leadership of the library service fall more into the management category than the governing body. So usually your chief librarian, head of service, director of service would be seen in the institution as a leader, but in terms of results and performance, as a manager. And therefore, they're naturally more inclined to pay attention to the detail of library KPIs, which by their nature tend to be non-financial, measured frequently, potentially daily, weekly, monthly. Staff need to know how to correct them if they fall below a particular target. And the responsibility for achieving a performance indicator is usually tied to an individual or a team. So these are general that I've given here. On the left-hand side, percentage increase in sales, customer complaints, late delivery to key customers. In library parlance, it might be around achievement or satisfaction on key courses with particular cohorts, might be an increase in international activity, might be satisfaction with skills training, might be percentage of course boards attended, percentage of student suggestions implemented. This is from a higher education library perspective. One of the key things to consider is that anything that we are measuring the results of, and therefore measuring the performance of, needs to be aligned to the institution. So for me, they need to be linked to strategy. A typical university may have key strategic drivers. So I'm talking from a higher education perspective because it's my kind of comfortable space, what I'm used to. But strategic drivers might involve establishing and enhancing student partnerships, excellence in learning and teaching, world-class research, community partnership, and enterprise. And I'd expect to see at least 3, if not all of those, in any higher education institution or university strategic plan or strategic vision, wherever they may be around the globe. But let's unpack something like enabling, establishing and enhancing the student partnership, one particular strategic driver. How does a library do this? How does a library align itself with a strategic vision, a strategic drive of establishing and enhancing the student partnership in a university? Well, it could be a library that claims to listen and respond to students and work closely with the student body, a library that involves students with innovative service developments, a library service that supports students on their journey from pre-university to alumni. So all fairly big, kind of bold strategic statements, but again, not hopefully not unfamiliar to people who potentially work in higher education libraries and have to set the library's strategic agenda. So how does this actually happen in practice? If you were to, strategically link your results and performance to establishing and enhancing the student partnership, it's just one arm of a university strategy. It might be through active engagement with the library services critical friends group. It might be a body that you have, an advisory body that has students on it. It could be student engagement in developing library services, in planning for a new project. I've said here, a new campus project. It might be engagement with boards of study or faculty boards or academic boards, participation in university-wide recruitment events, or accessing students before they actually come onto the campus and become students. Engagement with widening access initiatives. So there's different ways that a library could strategically align itself to that particular arm, single arm, establishing and enhancing student partnership. With that being the case, and here's where we get to measuring our impact, you might have some strategic key performance indicators. So just based on what I've just suggested might be strategic drivers for an academic library, you may have indicators such as percentage of critical friends members who feel their engagement with the forum has made a difference, percentage of open day attendees who attend library tours, percentage of new students engaging with the library at the induction fair. So there are different, excuse me, different metrics you could have. Therefore, you want to have a target, so you either meet or exceed the target, and that becomes your performance indicator. Now, these aren't things that you just measure in an annual survey. These are things where you would have to talk to students or canvass them, maybe through kind of spot surveys, focus groups. So this is where we move from numbers to narrative, where you need to talk to students, and you can come up with some metrics from depending on the amount of students you talk to, what percentage of them go in one direction or go in the other. And in a way, I've left this world behind me, this world of metrics and measuring library services, because it's no longer anything I have to do, nor am accountable for. But what I have discovered more in the academic side of my life is that narrative, where I think I've ended though that kind of rhetoric on KPIs with something about narrative. Narrative becomes more important, and I'm just going to spend this last 2 minutes just sharing with you some of what I think is really positive and rich experience of my PhD, my doctoral studies, which I did on the value and impact of public libraries in the UK. The actual title of my thesis was the epistemic community and political roles of public libraries in the United Kingdom. Another working title for it was Public Library Services and Citizenship, an analysis of the roles, impact and value of public libraries. And in order to kind of form my arguments, make my contribution to kind of how we understand the role of public libraries, I had to talk to lots of public library users and ask them what the impact of the public library had been on them and their lives, how they valued the public library. And that was all about stories and creating spaces for library users to tell their stories. And you can do this through interviews, you can do this through questionnaires, qualitative questionnaires. I did it through focus groups. I went all around the UK facilitating focus groups in kind of 8 different public library authorities. I did it over 3 years, so I visited the library authorities at different times. And one of my initial findings before I set out on this kind of tour of doing focus groups in public libraries was this excerpt from Dowd in 1996, and it was in a report on public libraries, the kind of impact of public libraries, and it was this quotation: "I didn't cry when I was homeless, the tears came later. I needed to care for my son, and the library provided me as an enchanted world to share with him. We arrived every day as the doors opened. My eager boy discovered dinosaurs, befriended librarians, developed an ongoing love of books. I developed stories of others who faced challenges. We shared story time, played on the lawn, and though homeless, the library helped me to mother my son by allowing me to give when I had nothing to spend." And for me, that's just the words of one person who's used the library, but I get emotional reading it out loud every time I do. And it was this story that kind of made me realize we need more people telling stories about libraries in order to demonstrate their impact and value. So very briefly, I set out on my kind of tour of focus groups, seeking stories about feelings and attitudes towards library, who people felt libraries were for, how libraries contributed to individual and community citizenship. And I got lots of stories. I'm just going to flash some quotes up. I did a pilot study. People would say things like, I could be quite dramatic and say that reading saved my life. When I come in, I have a dead positive vibe in the library when I walk through the door straight away, because I know that I only need to spend 15 minutes in here and I'll have lost myself in a book. You don't care what's going on. Once I'd started theming questions within the focus groups, I would ask about the library as a place and space where people gain knowledge and information. People talked about being in a temple of knowledge, feeling empowered, having all that information and knowledge and creative stuff at my fingertips. I would then also ask about impact on community, people's roles as citizens in the community. And again, people would share with me their thoughts and feelings, things like, when you're on the streets, no one cares about you. It's like every man for himself. But when you come in here in the library, you can just communicate with anyone. You can discuss things with people. There's loads of things that you can do. The library is one place where everyone is equal. The library is inclusive. It makes you feel part of the group. I think that society consists of groups, but I see the library more as a coherent group, very inclusive of people from different backgrounds. And that's where I'm going to end. I've gone past my 15 minutes. Hopefully that's taken you on my little from numbers to narrative journey. And thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Appleton. That was very, very powerful. And I'm happy to say that my Wi-Fi now seems to be stable. I will mention to everybody before we go to our third presenter that we do have a Q&A section here. So if you want to start putting your questions in now, feel free to. Otherwise, I'm going to pass it on to our third speaker today, Sherine Eid, who's the acting head quality improvement unit, the acting head of the quality improvement unit for the Library of Alexandria. Sherine.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Today, I am going to present on how ISO 16439 acts as a comprehensive guide for assessing the impact of libraries. Through this standard, we can measure how libraries utilize their resources and contribute significantly to education and research. The foundation of this presentation, The foundation of this presentation is ISO 16439, and I will provide embedded examples specifically targeted to the library and information science field to illustrate its practical applications. But before initiating any new library, service, or product, conducting a feasibility study is critical. It evaluates the potential success and impact of the proposed initiative. For instance, in 1986, the Egyptian government requested UNESCO's assistance in conducting a feasibility study for reviving the ancient library of Alexandria. They aimed to complete this study by the end of 1987, exploring UNESCO's potential involvement in the project. This historical example underscores the importance of understanding feasibility before committing resources to a significant undertaking. The standard was first published in 2014 and was last reviewed and confirmed in 2019. It is the current standard for impact assessment of libraries. These standards define the terms and specify methods for such assessments. It serves various purposes, including strategic planning, internal quality management of libraries. Furthermore, it facilitates the comparison of library impact over time and between libraries of similar type and mission. By promoting the library's role and value in learning, research, education, culture, and social and economic life, the ISO 16439 supports political decision regarding service levels and strategic goals for libraries. These standards consider the impact of libraries on individuals, institutions, and society as a whole. While it is applicable to all types of libraries globally, not all methods described in the standards apply universally. The applicability of individual methods is specified in their description. So let's delve into some core concepts essential for evaluation and assessment under the ISO standard. First, the mission. A library mission statement is a formal declaration of its goals and choices, and its choices it makes in service and product development. For instance, the British Library's mission is to make our intellectual heritage accessible to everyone for research, inspiration, and enjoyment. This mission guides the library's strategic planning and service delivery. As for the output, outcome, and impact, the output here refers to products of library processes. Examples include title cataloged, loans made, downloads from electronic collections, and reference questions answered. As for the outcome, its outcomes are the direct predefined effect of the outputs. They are related to the goals and objectives of the library, its planning. Examples include number of users and user satisfaction levels. As for the impact, it refers to the difference or change in an individual or group resulting from their interaction with library services. This could be an improvement in literacy, knowledge, skills, and even broader societal acts. As for the economic value, assessing the economic value of libraries can be approached in two ways. The value of library benefits can be expressed in monetary terms. This involves calculating the replacement cost for library services by calculating cost if a similar or related product is available in the market, or by calculating the time cost. Monetary value can be calculated from the time spent on library services and their corresponding users. And finally, so listing user estimates, users and non-users estimate the monetary value of a library or a library service, example loans, for themselves or for society. They may be achieved by simple estimates such as value of one loan or methods such as contingent valuation. As for the return on investment, for example, in 2019, a study by the Canadian Museums Association examined the ROI for Canadian galleries, libraries, archives, and museums, revealing a benefit cost ratio of 4.6 to 1. Libraries also have a broader economic impact. They contribute positively to local, regional, and sometimes national economies by purchasing goods and services locally, employing residents, and attracting visitors who support nearby businesses. Moreover, they enhance user skills, potentially improving employment rates and broader economic outcomes. Economic impact analysis is particularly recommended for libraries that attract tourists and receive significant funding. So what should be measured? Dr. Leo, in his book, Libraries and Key Performance Indicators, a framework for practitioners, highlights that traditionally library managers have concentrated on inputs and outputs. However, it is increasingly important to measure outcomes and impact to assess the true value of library services. The capability of a library to meet user needs and the impact of its services on users should be key criteria in evaluating service quality. But before measuring library impact and value, it is crucial to clearly define the anticipated outcome and benefits to the users. Performance outcomes need to be closely linked to the library missions and core aims. As for the value and the impact, assessing library impact is more demanding process than merely counting input and output. It requires considerable time and effort, especially for anything beyond short-term immediate impact. Longitudinal studies are often needed to capture long-term impacts. Furthermore, the library will not be the only factor in any given impact, and isolating its contribution is not always straightforward. For example, a parent of a child with a special need reported that after his son was trained with a tablet computer provided by the library, his son could write three-letter words like cat, bat, and mat. This improvement in his son's memory and writing skills highlights the library's impact on individual development. As for the objective of impact assessment supports several objectives. It could be for decision-making and resource management. By understanding the impact, library managers can make informed decisions about resource allocation. Also, another objective would be justifying resource use, demonstrating the value and the impact, help justify the use of resources. Comparing results, impact assessment allow libraries to compare the results with similar organization, and providing evidence of impact can help secure funding and support from stakeholders. And promoting the library roles and highlighting the library's impact underscore its importance to society. Aspects of library impact. Generally, the impact of a library existence and its services will be seen as positive and a benefit. There is also the possibility of negative impact. A bad experience during a library visit can result in a negative attitude to library use. Library impact can vary in its nature and scope. There is immediate and long-term. Some impacts are felt right away, while others might take years to materialize. The impact can be broad, affecting many people or areas, or it can be limited to a specific group or region. Libraries may have intended impact through planned program, but they can also create unintended positive outcomes. As for the effects of library impact, it could be impact on individuals or whole group, or in a library institutions, community, or social impact. For example, this is an example for the impact on individual or group. For example, the Bibliotheca Alexandrina established the Easy Reading program targeting graduates of literacy and adult education classes, those studying Arabic as a foreign language, and people with dyslexia. This program has a significant positive impact on individuals, enhancing their reading skills and overall literacy. Let's consider a real-life example to illustrate the impact of Bibliotheca Alexandrina have on individuals. My name is Sarah Ali, and I want to share a personal story. Recently, I found myself needing to transfer my daughter to a school closer to our home. When I visited her current school to initiate the process, I was asked to write a formal transfer request to be sent to the appropriate authorities. At first, I was nervous and unsure of my writing abilities. However, thanks to the resources and support I have received from my local library, I have developed confidence in my writing skills. I drafted the transfer request, submitted it, and felt a profound sense of accomplishment. I am proud of the person I have become. As for the impact on libraries institution, the University of Texas at Austin Libraries conducted a study to examine the impact of library collections and on faculty recruitment and retention. The study found that 42% of surveyed faculty and 4 interviewees cited the library collections as a factor in their decision to work at the university. Additionally, many faculty members described the collection as crucial to the research and teaching efforts. This demonstrates the library role in supporting institutional goals and community development. As for the social inclusion, the Meru Public Library in Kenya launched a service called Promoting Inclusive Education Through Training of Children with Special Needs. These services uses tablet computers preloaded with educational content aligned with the Kenyan primary school curriculum. This tablet have helped improve the speech, concentration, creativity, and self-confidence of children with special needs. Parents formed a special needs support club to raise funds and expand the service, highlighting the library's social impact and community engagement. As for the methods for assessing impact, assessing impact can involve various methods to gather comprehensive evidence. These methods can be broadly categorized into informed, solicited, and observed approaches, each offering unique insights on the library influence. The inferred methods could be through output data, library performance indicators, and user satisfaction levels. As for the solicited, it involves directly requesting feedback and opinion from library users. This will be through questionnaires, interview, focus groups, or other methods for requesting information or opinion. As for the observation, involve directly witnessing and recording the effect of library services. This could be done through structured observation, informal observation, self-recording, and test. In many cases, it has been proven useful to combine several methods to obtain reliable results and offer a comprehensive view of the library impacts, capturing both quantitative data and qualitative experiences. For instance, structured observation might reveal how students use library spaces for collaborative learning, while user surveys could highlight the specific resources and services that are most beneficial. In conclusion, the ISO standard 16439 provides a comprehensive framework for assessing the impact of libraries. By understanding and measuring outcomes and impacts, library can better demonstrate their value and make informed decisions about resource allocation and service improvement. The examples and methods discussed today highlight the diverse way libraries contribute to individuals, institutions, and society as a whole. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Sherine. Oh, and what is that your reference list?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, we will provide a link to that when we put out the video. So now we're going to open it up to questions. If people have questions, please put them in the Q&A or in the chat if you want to. I think we could probably, I'm not sure if we have the ability to let people unmute and just ask a question, but you can do that as well. Does anybody have a question to get us started? I certainly have many. Well, I'm going to start with my first question, and that was a question for all of you, but particularly Leo, it comes out of your discussion of key results and KPIs, and this concept of satisfaction and asking people if they're satisfied, because particularly when we talk about students, but also I think for public libraries, and perhaps also for the African Capacity Foundation, satisfaction to me seems like, well, in the case of students, you can be satisfied just because you got a good grade or the course was easy. And I'm wondering about asking questions that get more at experience, which is, I think, is something that ran through all three of your presentations. So I'm wondering if you can comment on the idea of moving from whether someone was satisfied to the experience they had in the library. Leo, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I think the crux of that, Justine, is just going more granular with your questions. So in the UK, we have something called the National Student Survey, which all outgoing undergrads, so when they finish the third year, they complete the National Student Survey, and that's used actually in the metrics for the university league tables. But there is one question in there about literally satisfaction with library and learning resources, and quite a lot of university libraries use that as a key performance indicator, how question 18 in the National Student Survey is responded to, and use it as a kind of a benchmark to either meet or surpass. But it's you're dead right. It's a really broad question, and I think what libraries need to do is just go granular and think of different elements of the service that they could canvass user satisfaction with. So it might be skills training, digital and information literacy training, satisfaction. What's the impact been for individuals? So I think it's having the time and space and capacity to go more granular. Because those very big KPIs for me don't really tell you anything that you can fix on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you. Sherine, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I would say that high satisfaction is achieved when libraries adapt to the evolving needs of their users while maintaining a welcoming and resource-rich environment. But user satisfaction is not synonymous with the impact the libraries have impact, because a user might be satisfied after finishing his training course on how to use the library OPAC, but it may be he didn't, it wasn't quite useful as he thought or she thought to be. So I usually think that there should be combined methods to be used to assess the real impact and outcome of the library services, instead of just a questionnaire or survey that asks, because anyone can check that he is very satisfied with the course, but maybe he didn't, it wasn't that quite beneficial to him.
Thank you. And Grant, do you have a comment?
Yes, please. I think for us, the satisfaction might be a little bit different because of the nature of our clientele. As I've said, we work with individuals, institutions, and member countries. So, as I had said, our objective is more of policy making. And usually when we have generated knowledge, we really anticipate that this knowledge that we have generated is going to assist in the policy formulation. And definitely we have had satisfaction. Mostly, maybe I can give an example in our project that is related to tobacco control. We have been working with different think tanks to come up with policy recommendations that can be adopted by member countries, so that those recommendations can be adopted at legally at legislative in the different countries. And we have seen that happening. For instance, in Nigeria, they did adopt some of the recommendations that we did through the research that we're working with different think tanks. And we are also working in terms of the trade in the African Continental Free Trade. There is an area that we are working called factoring. And this is an issue that we are seeing being developed, being accepted from the Pan-African stage, even from local parliaments in different countries, that we are trying to allow this product to be accepted. So definitely, yes, we do see satisfaction and adoption of our research at different levels. Thank you.
Thank you. And Christine is monitoring our Q&A. So do we have any comments there, Christine?
Yes, we do. We have, I think this one is from Cecile, sorry. And she asks, do you know the concept of the apple pie effect from Harry Matthews, saying that it's very difficult to collect the satisfaction directly since patrons kind of feel an obligation around being satisfied with something that's free that they're not paying for. We should, I think she's commented, we should find other ways to measure satisfaction, less direct. What do we think about that? Anybody want to tackle that one?
I think they may have in their answers, but if the person who asked the questions wants to add more, please unmute and do so.
Yeah, I think I've added everybody as being able to talk, so.
All right, well, I think that's a.
I could say a couple of things,
Sure.
Justine, just in as much as my instinct is not to get too focused on satisfaction, but ask users about where, in effect, where they're dissatisfied or where they think services could improve. And certainly when I was running the focus groups, I didn't really ask those questions specifically, but I managed to facilitate conversations where library users would express their dissatisfaction with particular services, and it was usually around digital skills training and access to digital. So I think that's what you want to hear, because they're the things you want to fix. So I think part of my answer would be, I completely agree with Cecile that the apple pie effect, if you're just asking straight away about the goodness, the positivity, the positive aspects of the service, there may be felt an obligation to answer in the affirmative or the positive. But I think we need to dig deeper. It's pretty much the same as I was saying before, go granular in terms of working out where there is places and spaces that can be improved.
Yeah, Cecile mentioned in response here, she's aware of Project Outcome Initiative, and that's another project where you can, and LibQual. I mean, those are both surveys, but Project Outcome, I believe, can train you into developing those ways to get more granular. I think that those are two resources to look at. LibQual is not so granular because it's a very broad survey. But we do have another attendee who's, are there any examples of ROI calculators available that would make it easier to use? Could they be adjusted by inserting specific national service costs? Not all libraries have staff with adequate education and knowledge to create one themselves. So, I mean, I guess that's tools are there tools out there for libraries to use to evaluate the costs of their service? How are they? Yeah.
Sherine, do you want to start with that one?
Yes, I would answer that there is a Mayan State Library, MAINE State Library. They have on their website a kind of a form that users can check the number of times they have used specified services during a given time period, the market price, of each service is then multiplied with the usage of data in order to calculate the total monetary value of the service.
Hmm.
I will just share it through the chat. Damian.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Do we have other questions in there, Christine? If not,
No, those are all the questions that are in the quick Q&A, but if anybody has a question, just feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand and I can unmute you maybe, if that's...
And while we wait, I have a question. Grant, you mentioned about knowledge dissemination, and it was striking me, as I found all three presentations very interesting, that we spend so much time gathering these statistics and narratives and doing storytelling. And I'm wondering about the knowledge dissemination of these, of the impact that we have. How do all three of you, or in your past, Dr. Appleton, how do you do that?
Sorry,
Grant,
in terms of gathering the statistics, is that the question?
I'm asking how you share it with your stakeholders.
Okay, thank you very much. As I've stated that we at ACBF we do have different forums that we use for networking. We have got the think tanks, we've got the regional forums that we do. So in each of the forum or in activity that we have, we usually have a mailing list where we capture the visitors that will have come to our workshop and request them if they really need to get information from our mailing list, and if they accept, we add them to a mailing list. So we do have a very big mailing list with thousands of emails that have been collected by ACBF from long ago, that each time we have got new publications, we send to those mailing lists. And in terms of impact and assessing if our knowledge are being used, especially on the e-library, we have got a separate with statistics website that does give us the analytics of the numbers of visitors, the most or the most read publications ranked in terms of their use, and the amount of the gigabytes that being used within the collections that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Sherine or Leo, do you have a comment?
No.
No? For knowledge, Leo?
Not really, Justine. So it's the crux is how do we feed back to our stakeholders with regards to what they've said about the value and impact of library service. Because that, for me, that will differ in sectors, and I think, as Gran's just said, there's particular ways of doing it depending on the sector that you're working in. I mean, my familiarities with higher education, we talk about closing the feedback loop to make sure that what students have, how students have informed any aspects of their university lives, their student experience, whether it's in the library or whether it's within their academic programs. And that closing the feedback loop is usually abbreviated to "you said, we did" type initiatives, where you share where improvements have been made. And there's a whole host of ways of doing that. So it can be through face-to-face platforms, social media, kind of publicity campaigns. So yeah, I think that's quite a big question, but it's an important thing to remember is that being able to feed back to stakeholders where their input has impacted.
Can I ask, just as a follow-up question, when you have been disseminating knowledge, have you noticed that there has been a growing use of qualitative or narrative storytelling, and acknowledgement that's important by governments or funding agencies? Because certainly in the past, things have been very, very quantitative, and I think there's been a bit of a shift, but I don't know if others have noticed that or if that is your reality. Sherine?
Sorry, I have problems, technical problems. Could you please repeat again the question?
There seems to be more acknowledgement of the importance of storytelling and narratives, I think, in impact these days than there were, say, 20 years ago. And I'm wondering if you found that to be true in your organization or with your government or whoever funds you.
Yes, it is used, but it shouldn't be the only method used to assess impact, because it could be the beginning for longitudinal studies to investigate and assess the impact of libraries. We shouldn't depend only, and we don't depend only on this methods, on this matrix. We use other methods to assess impact. For example, the example that I have provided for Sarah Ali, this was a written document by her that ensured that she has already knows how to write and read in Arabic, not just, she would say orally that I have learned so much from libraries. We have a pre and before and after test for in the training courses that we provide at Biblioteca Alexandrina. Not storytelling methods we are using.
Thank you. Grant?
Yes, I do agree in terms of storytelling. I think in one of the projects that we have been having in terms of factoring, it was only after different experiences from certain banks especially from South Africa and Mexico, who are sharing the way they have been, they took in order for them to find a benefit in terms of factoring. The other banks in those countries that are trying to adopt this initiative, they were getting information from technocrats who were not really, who were giving like figures in terms of or the thematic, the theoretical or ways to do this and how it benefits. But now getting it from people who had very first-hand information in terms of guiding and experience on this new initiative. To them, I think it gave them, encouragement to say this thing can work. So I think if you get terms of storytelling, especially from experience, I think in line with our work, I think I do agree that there's more impact compared to the other way of quantitative. Thank you.
Leo, do you have a comment?
Just, I think that the qualitative, the narratives, the storytelling are great for complementing any statistical or metrical measures, because ultimately we all still love a metric, but it's almost as if the driver is to always increase the metrics or do better than you've done, than what the level is, what the target is. But to be honest, if you get more digital downloads this year than you did last year, what's it really telling you? It's how the qualitative sits alongside that. And the qualitative might be telling you that actually, because of the digital skills interventions, I've been able to access more resources and not been able to study better. So you need the two to sit alongside each other. And I think there's been more of an acceptance of that. I think in what I was calling the neoliberal phase of libraries, it was all about the metrics, but now I think there is more of an appetite to hear the stories that go with them. I just wanted to say, I don't know if anyone here is from the UK, but we have a big healthcare library sector through our National Health Service, and there's definitely a strategic driver from the Library and Knowledge Service across the whole of the National Health to use clinician stories to demonstrate the impact and value of the Healthcare Library and Knowledge Service on their evidence-based practice. So I think that would be, for me, more evidence of that qualitative becoming more accepted.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Are there some comments, Christine?
Yeah, we got a few comments in here. Yeah, and one of the things I just wanted to add about that is adding the visual aspect in communication, like taking data and learning how to visualize it in a way is another method of making more impact, our communications about our impact more visual. That I think is important. So we have just some thanks for the panelists to explore the impact at an individual level, but any thoughts on how to aggregate the individual impact statements towards the storytelling to set a national or international narrative for the library sector? So how do we maybe take all those individual things and make it a big story? So that was one person's question. Yeah, and they gave an example, the digitalization story for open access, or an open access story. Yeah.
All right, well, we are getting close to time, so I'm going to ask if there are any other questions or comments anyone wants to make.
Somebody, one last comment, they said, and I think we've addressed this, is what's more convincing, numbers or stories? And I think we probably think both. We have to use both.
Yeah.
I think we can answer that one. Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank all three presenters. This has been fascinating today, definitely worth getting up for. And I want to remind everybody that this presentation will be online, and that this is the first of a series of presentations on the focus of impact. So next week, we will have Kate McDowell speaking, and she is going to talk about social justice storytelling, data storytelling, and storytelling as information research. And she's going to specifically address her article on library data storytelling.
Yeah.
The next chapter go on, Christine.
Oh yeah,
The
just
next,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to go through them. The next one is on forming your community of practice. This will be about a successful community of practice in Australia, and our speakers there have created a value impact community of practice to assist staff at university libraries in Australia and New Zealand. And they share best practices around evaluating and assessing their activities. We then take a small break, and on July 3rd, we have Let's Hear From You About Impact, which is where people can come and talk to the Statistics and Evaluation Committee about their stories, what they'd like to see from us, information. And then finally, we're going to finish off the event with Dr. Lynn Conway, who was the first author, primary author of the Redefining the Library Findings from the 2023 OCLC Global Council Survey. That survey received 1,600 responses from librarians in over 77 countries on what is the future of libraries and assessment, and she's going to come and talk to us about that. You are all welcome to all of those sessions, and we hope that you will join. So with that, one last thank you to our speakers today. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much,
right.
and bye.
Goodbye, Grant.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone. For anybody who's interested, for the three speakers, if you would like the altmetrics on how many people downloaded your or watched this, please let us know. We'd be happy to provide that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think we're going to have a lot of people looking at the recording, because yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Right. So for the speakers who don't know, we committed to, oh, well, Leo's gone, having each one of these at a different time. Thank you so much, Sherine. That was wonderful.
Thanks, Sherine. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to close off the, maybe Justine, do you want to meet in the backstage part? We can.
Sure.